Hello, my name is Leslie Cornwell and I'm with the George Snow Scholarship Fund. And the purpose of this recording is to go over who we are, what you would receive if you receive a George Snow Scholarship. And we're going to go over certain things of the application that would be helpful for you, the process, the application process, the selection process, and just general questions. There'll be times where I'll tell you, you might want to take a screenshot of this just so that you have it for future use. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so that we can move forward. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just go through a PowerPoint and give you some information. This is myself and Shannon. We run the Scholar Division, so please make note of our contact information. This is our email and our office phone number. If you have any questions throughout the application process, please don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us. A little bit about us. This is our 40th year. We have been around a while, and we offer need-based scholarships. It is definitely at our core that if you receive a George Snow Scholarship, then you are forever part of the Snow family. That is really evident in everything we do with our students. We're never going to just write a check when you leave for school next year and say, see you later, I hope you succeed, I don't care. That's just the opposite of what we do. We're involved with our students. We provide support services that go well beyond just the scholarship dollars, which we'll talk about more in a minute. Last year, 121 students received our scholarship. The average award was around $12,000. I have scholarships that are higher. I have scholarships that are lower. I just want to point out that the way our funding works, hypothetically, if you received a $12,000 scholarship, I'm not going to give you $12,000 at the beginning of your freshman year. This is your total award that you will have for your entire undergraduate year. We send what we call a disbursement every semester to whomever, and we'll go over that in a little bit more detail. So let's talk about the eligibility. So you need to be a high school senior, attending high school in either Palm Beach County or attending Blanche Ely Pompano High School or Monarch High School in Broward County. The only eligibility requirement is that there needs to be financial need. I don't have a minimum GPA or requirement of test scores. Those are in the application, but that is not a determining factor in the scholarship. Let's talk about financial need for a minute. You do not have to be receiving federal aid in order to qualify. I don't have a certain limit on parents' income in order for you to qualify. We look at the totality of the scholarship application to determine what your need would be. So why should you apply for this? These are four-year scholarships. You can attend any school you want to attend, from a vocational program to a two-year program to a four-year university, anywhere that you want to go. As long as the program is accredited, we don't care if you stay in state, if you go out of state, if your school is public or private, that doesn't matter. We also don't care what you're majoring in. That's not a requirement for you receiving the scholarship. None of these things are going to affect you getting the scholarship, not where you're attending school or what you're studying. You will apply one time. You don't have to keep reapplying, and we are with you for the entirety of your undergraduate program. This is really what we're known for. In addition to the scholarship funding, these are our scholar support services. These are available to all of our scholars. The first is the emergency fund. So if you have a non-recurring expense that happens to come up, that's not your tuition, then we have a separate emergency fund that you can apply to. You will receive a care package. I'm not going to really talk more about that because at least in your freshman year, it's something that's a surprise to you. This year we have a career development curriculum. We've never had that before. We have somebody on staff who is here to help you throughout your entirety of your undergraduate, find you internships, find you a job when you graduate. She'll be administering a personality test when you first receive the scholarship to help you determine certain fields that match you. I think it's very common for a high school senior to just choose a major because they think it sounds interesting, and then they get to school. A lot of times you graduate in that major and then you're like, I don't want to work in this field. Or you're in school for a couple of years and you take a random class and you realize that your passion is completely switched. So this is just to give you kind of a heads up before you start down that journey of what might best be suited for you. When you first receive the scholarship, you'll be asked, do you want a brand new computer or a college supply stipend check? Last year, I think the check was $350. It's the only time we'll ever write a check directly to you. And you will receive that computer or that check, whichever option you chose, in your college supply gift bag. It's a large rolling duffel bag, and it is full of items, backpacks, school supplies, a lot of things that you can use next year in school, whether you stay home or go away. If you're leaving and you're moving into a dorm, you're going to have a physical and a meningitis vaccine. And we have a program with Boca Regional Hospital where a day is set. You can come in and the physician will fill out your physical form and give you the meningitis vaccine at no cost to you. And it's the same philosophy for the hair spa day. We have a salon in East Boca that they set aside the day. You schedule an appointment. It's for guys, girls, whomever, and they'll do whatever you want them to do. We have a program called ComPsych, and so that offers you free mental health for you and your family members, free legal resources for you and your family members, and free financial resources for you and your family members. Every Monday, you will get a Monday motivational message emailed to you. The whole point of that and the care package, really most of what we do is to just remind you that you have this community back home that is here to support you. The Monday message, some weeks you might read it and doesn't really apply to you, but most Mondays it will. You'll be receiving that forever. If you get an interview, then you'll have a professional headshot taken. I know senior pictures are very expensive. You'll get a link to download the photo, print it, put it on your resume, whatever you want to do with it. We have a scholar closet. You can see that in one of these pictures on this slide. So we have new and gently used clothing for both sexes, for all sexes, shoes. This can be professional clothing or casual, or, maybe a little bit nicer going out clothing, always free for our scholars at any time. We offer Snow Family Master Classes. These are classes designed either in person or over Zoom, things that that our students have asked for. So we just had a free CPR certification class. We're going to have another one in December. We had a coding class. We had a great Q&A panel with 5 of our former Snow scholars who are all in medical school now, all different years, all different medical schools, to kind of debunk the myth of, who can get into medical school. Just like me, I would have assumed you have to have a perfect GPA or you have to have a really high MCAT score, and that's not the truth. And that was just kind of a great session. And then last, we have our own Snow Family networking platform. It's called Snow Family Network. The feed is similar to LinkedIn. Our alumni are on, our current students are on. It's great for mentorship. You can look up people who are in the same field that you want to be in and reach out. People post jobs. People just reach out on the feed, hey, I'm in organic chemistry and I need help. And then you'll just see the swarm of people who are offering to help. So that's also available to our scholars. So here's some really basic information. The application opened on November 1st. It closes February 1st at 11:59 Eastern time. That's a hard close. It's just like any college application. A deadline is a deadline. So if you have not submitted your application by 11:59, you will not be considered for a scholarship. It's not my rule, but that is a rule. No appeals, no exceptions. You can scan this QR code and that'll take you directly to the application, or you can also find it on our website, which is www.scholarship.org. So this is a long application. I'm not going to lie. This is like a college application. It's going to take you some time. It's in 3 parts. You can always save it and come back to it later. You need to take your time with this application. When you first sign up, you have to sign up with an email. Please do not use a palmbeachschool.org email address because that will block us. The only way we are going to contact you to let you know if you've received an interview or if you've received a scholarship is through email. I'm not going to call you or text you. So you definitely want it to be an email address that's not going to be blocked, and also one that you are checking regularly. What is in the application? Just to give you a heads up before we go further, there are 2 required essays. There are questions on work experience, school activities, community service, awards and honors. You don't have to have any of that, but there's a place for you to put them in. Optional reference letters. And then the whole last section is questions regarding family finances and taxes. Remember, I said the only eligibility is financial needs, so I do have to get financials. I'm not asking for anybody to upload a tax return. I don't want that at this point. I don't want to see a FAFSA application or a student aid report at this point. So let me explain how the application process works before we move into the application. So the application closes February 1st, and on February 10th, over 100 people in the community who make up the selection committee will be reading and scoring your application. Your application will be read and scored by 5 different people, 5 times, and the lowest score will be dropped. The average of your 4 remaining scores is your application score. You want to have this application score be a high application score. That is what determines if you make it into the next round, which is the interviews. If you make it into that round, your application score no longer exists, and now you're just going on the interview. So you definitely need to make this application rock solid. These people who are reviewing your application, they don't know you, they know nothing about you. The only thing they know is what they're reading in this application. So you don't want it to be messy with misspelled words and everything's lowercase letter, and it's just obvious that you didn't take your time on it, because the bottom line is they're trying to see, are you a good investment? So you definitely want to take your time. If they feel like this was something that wasn't important to you, it's going to affect your score. If it's just mistakes throughout, that is going to affect your score. Somebody's saying to me, well, I didn't want to submit the application because I had to write 2 essays, or I had to go find out a bunch of financial information. I mean, I can't make you apply, but if somebody said to me, you're going to be getting thousands of dollars in scholarship money, and if I need money for school, it's worth it for me to spend some time on this, just like I hope that you did for your college applications. So we're in the application, and you come to this page and it says college 1, college 2, college 3. Only the first college is required. You have to have a program in there for college number 1. Again, remember, I said I don't care if it's a vocational program or, maybe you're going to Palm Beach State for 2 years, or Broward College for 2 years. Maybe then you're going to transfer somewhere after that. Maybe you're not. That's fine. That doesn't affect you getting the scholarship, but you have to be going somewhere. And the latest that you can be starting school is spring of 2024. I know sometimes you don't get admitted until the spring semester, and that's not a problem. But if you are taking a gap year, you are not eligible. If you are entering the military and you're not going to be going to school until way down the road, you are not eligible. You need to be going to school, like I said, no later than spring of 2024. Now, if you're applying to more than 1 school, you can list up to 3, list them. I'm not going to hold you to any of these schools. You could list 3 colleges and go to a completely different one, and that's absolutely fine. The whole point here isn't what school are you going to, it's the motivation. It's that you're showing, I do have a plan. I am going to some kind of program next year. Now you see application status, and it's a drop-down menu, and it has applied, accepted, wait list, not yet applied, and denied. I don't want to see any applications coming in that have not yet applied marked as the application status. Why? Well, again, you're trying to show these reviewers that you are going to school next year. Now they are getting these applications February 10th. They don't know when you submitted this application. And so to them in February, you haven't applied to a school, and you should have. So that's not going to help you, because you're competing against a lot of students who will put that they've applied to school. They don't care that you haven't been accepted into the program yet, but you definitely don't want to submit this until you can mark that you've applied to whatever schools you are listing. I would not list any schools that you were denied admittance into. Why would you? That doesn't really help your application any. And as far as anticipated major or area of study, again, it doesn't matter what you're majoring in. You can list a major, you can list a couple of majors or areas that you're thinking of, or you can say undecided, which is very normal for a 17, 18-year-old student. That's not going to affect you getting the scholarship. Now you're going to come to the section where first thing is work experience. You don't have to have work experience, but if you've had it, you can list up to 2 jobs. And then you're going to have school activities, community service, and awards and honors. Each of these 3 sections, you can list up to 10 things in the application. Again, it's not a requirement that you have 10. It's not a requirement that you have any, but you definitely want to think outside the box here, because anything you've done in the last 4 years, you want to have in this application. They're trying to get a sense of who you are and what are your passions, what are your interests. So I would try to think of anything that you can put into the application, bragging without being obnoxious. So these 3 sections it will have, first you're going to list how many you want to add, and then you're going to have the activity or the award and honor, the year. Did you do this freshman through senior? Did you only do it junior year? Again, if COVID affected your participation in anything, don't assume they know that, explain it. Then the position and the description. So let's say that you are in student government. And let's say that you were a member of student government. In the description, don't just say I was a member of student government. That added nothing. What did you do? What were your responsibilities? Obviously, you participated in something. If you had a leadership role, then you definitely want to expound on that. What were you responsible for? And this can be anything. It doesn't have to just be clubs, band, chorus, athletics, anything. Anything, it didn't have to be on school grounds, but anything you were involved in. Community service, I know you have to have it to graduate, so you're going to have some community service to add. And then awards and honors don't necessarily mean academic awards. These can be any certifications that you've received as part of maybe an academy or on your own. Honor roll, athletic awards, any kind of thing, anything in the last 4 years that you've been recognized for, or maybe nominated for, that it hasn't even been final yet. Anything that will give them a better sense of who you are. And I'm going to keep saying it, but again, if you don't have any, that doesn't preclude you from getting a scholarship. Here are our essay prompts. 2 required, both of them have a 400 minimum word. There's not a maximum. You can write as much as you want. If you have written on these prompts for a college application, feel free to copy and paste, as long as somebody's looked at these essays. I mean, they're not expecting you to be a world-class writer. They are completely understanding if English is not your first language. But if it's just full of mistakes and it's just obvious that you didn't take any time, like one whole paragraph is just one sentence, it's full of misspelled words, when, there's spell check, you could have definitely made sure that wasn't the case. If it's just sloppy, it's not going to help you in your score. The first essay is educational and career goals. What do you think you want to study next year? What do you think you want to do after school? The second essay is one of those general prompts, personal characteristics. Have you had a challenge, an accomplishment, something you're proud of, an experience that taught you a lesson, a special attribute, really anything that you want to write about. Do not copy the first essay into the second essay. You're going to get points off. You're not following instructions. That's not what they asked for. And really take the opportunity in the second essay to flesh out a little bit more of who you are. You have to be a very authentic person in this application. You know, if you write about that you want to major in something, or you write about some lofty goal, but it doesn't sound like you. You know, you're writing it because you want to impress the selection committee. That's really probably not a good idea, because that's something that's probably they'll see through that. So be yourself. You might think that nobody's going to find something interesting. You have no idea what the selection committee will be thinking, and something you think is not really that important, they may absolutely love. Reference letters are optional. You can upload up to 3. I have students every year who get the scholarship who do not have any reference letters. I would encourage you to try to get them if you can, even if it's just 1. You have plenty of time to reach out to somebody, teacher, guidance counselor, somebody else at the school, a family friend, a boss, a coach, pastor, a rabbi, somebody in your religion. It doesn't matter. You're just kind of missing out on an opportunity, because these are always great letters. They're bragging on the student. And so the selection committee sees this and reads this. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to reach out and try to do that. I will tell you, somebody in the school system may not want to give you the actual letter to upload into your application yourself. You'll see on this slide, it has my email as well as Shannon's. Take a screenshot of that. You can send them our email, one of our emails, and once the application closes, and you no longer have access to it on February 2nd, we will upload those reference letters into your application. The whole second part of the application deals with what we call eligibility questions. It doesn't mean whether you're eligible for any scholarship. With our scholarship fund, we have general scholarships where a donor has come in and said, I just want to award money to a student. And then we have restricted scholarships where a donor has come in and said the same thing, but said, but I want the student to meet certain criteria. So every year we have students, some get completely unrestricted funds, some get only restricted funds, some get both. You can receive up to 4 scholarships with this one application. So you're going to see a lot of questions. Most of them are yes, no questions. You can answer no to every single one of these and still be eligible for up to 4 scholarships. These are here because if any of them could possibly apply to you, then you want to check yes, because that would put you in running in a smaller pool for these restricted scholarships. And you're going to see all sorts of them. Some of them are dealing with the majors. That's just the screenshot you have now. You know, are you pursuing a career in business, economics, or finance, engineering, nursing, pharmacy, aviation, performing arts, visual arts, healthcare, marine science, environmental science. I mean, there's a whole bunch. But then there's just a bunch of random questions. Are you first gen? Did you go to this certain elementary school? Do your parents work at this certain country club? All sorts of things. Again, you can answer no to everyone and you're absolutely fine. After the yes, no questions, though, you're going to come to a few questions where donors wanted you to have a little skin in the game. So if you want to be considered for those scholarships, you have to answer their short answer prompt. Completely optional, up to you. If they apply, I don't know why you wouldn't answer the prompt. The first one is if you are African American and you have experienced racial inequality, then you would write a short answer essay. You don't have to do this, completely up to you. If you are majoring in music education, then that donor wants you to write a short answer. If you in the past or now have been a caregiver, and a lot of students don't even realize that they're a caregiver, if you've routinely had to care for a sibling or a parent or a grandparent or someone else, you're a caregiver, and they want you to write a short answer about that. So you will see these as you are going through the application. Again, completely optional. I just wanted you to be aware of those. And then the whole third section is all financial questions. You're not going to know the answers to any of these other than maybe, do you qualify for Bright Futures? And if yes, what type? Most of these questions, you're going to need to have help from a parent or guardian. Shannon and I are available to help you. If you have any problems with this section, this is not a reason for you not to submit the application. I have students whose parents don't file taxes, or they don't live with their parents. We've seen just about everything. So you should not feel like, oh, I can't do this, so I'm not going to apply. But you're not going to know these answers. You don't know if your parents own their home, rent their home, what they pay, what their assets are. There's a whole section on mother, father, step parent. If you don't have a relationship with one of those, you would mark that, and then you don't have to provide us specific information on them. There's a comment box there. So if there's something you need to tell us about that relationship, that's where you would do it. The selection committee doesn't see your financial information at all. So you don't need to be concerned about that. And then there's about 3, maybe 4 questions that are directly from a tax return. Again, you're not uploading a tax return, but you are taking the information from the tax return and putting it into the application. Shannon and I can guide you if you have trouble. We have students contact us and say, you know, I don't know where on the tax form I'm supposed to be looking for this answer. And we can say, well, it's line X. So again, just don't think that this is a reason for you not to do the application. So here's the timeline. You need to apply by February 1st at 11:59. March 30th, you will be getting an email notification. That'll be one of 3 emails. You're either getting an email saying you've got an interview, very important email. There's going to be a lot you have to do, documents you have to sign, fill out, and return to us, other paperwork you have to return to us. You might get an email that says you are on the wait list for an interview, and you also have to return those documents. And it's important that you do so because the last couple of years, the 40 to 50 person wait list that we've had, most people have been moved off of that, except for those who just never responded to us. They never gave us the paperwork, you know, and if you do get an interview notification and you don't respond, and we reach out and you still don't respond, you'll lose that interview slot and it will go to somebody on the wait list. Or you might get an email that says you're not receiving an interview, and unfortunately that will be the end of the road. I hate those emails. We interview the whole month of April. Our main interviews are April 24th and 25th. You would not come both days. It would be one of those days. I do want to point out that, I mean, I only bring this up because one of our donors in the restricted scholarships, Quantum Foundation, they have a healthcare scholarship, and they used to have 3 requirements. You used to have to be in a medical academy. You had to be studying healthcare, and you could only be attending FAU, Palm Beach State, or Palm Beach Atlantic. I'm bringing this up because one of those requirements has dropped. You don't have to be in a medical academy any longer. So in case somebody's medical academy teacher has said this to them, you do not have to be in a medical academy. They have their own selection committee. So we have some students who interview with on our main interviews, and then separately with Quantum. Those interviews are April 27th. If you are wanting to be considered for that scholarship, and that page where I mentioned colleges, you would definitely want one of your colleges to be either FAU, Palm Beach State, or Palm Beach Atlantic. I just wanted to mention that, not trying to confuse anybody, but that is something that has changed. And then on May 9th, you will be notified if you are receiving the scholarship. That will also be a very important email. You'll have to sign a letter of agreement. You'll have to choose whether you want the computer or the check. And then we have a mandatory orientation June 1st. It is usually here in East Boca. We will provide lunch. We have speakers that come in at the end of the day. That's when you get your college supply gift bag. And then on June 3rd, we have our award ceremony. That is also mandatory. That's where you meet your donor. It's at Lynn University in their beautiful theater. And that's the whole point of the award ceremony, is to meet your donor. They've been wanting to meet whom they are investing in. You can bring 2 guests. You're going to go on stage with your donor. It's a really nice event. So I'm giving you these dates so that when college acceptances start rolling in and it's time to sign up for orientation, you keep these dates in mind and not schedule, attending an orientation. And then you're off to school, but you are forever part of our family. If you receive the undergraduate scholarship, then we have a $10,000 graduate school scholarship that you can apply for if you are going to graduate school. So I'm just going to put this up here for another second in case you want to see it again. And also those are our social media handles at the bottom of the page. We'd love for you guys to follow us. We post a lot of helpful information. And that's really the whole presentation. I do just want to remind you that if you don't apply, you're really taking yourself out of the running. There's nothing I can do to make you apply. I hope you do. It's a really awesome scholarship program. And if you have any questions throughout the process, then please make sure that you reach out so that I can help you. And we can answer any questions and make it so that you continue to apply. And that is it. And I hope you guys have a great day. And I hope that you are all here at the interviews. Bye.